The early afternoon sun, a gentle golden hue, struggled to pierce through the kitchen window of Eleanor Vance, a woman whose 47 years had woven a rich tapestry of experiences, none quite as daunting as her recent diagnosis of type 2 diabetes. She stood before her gleaming granite countertop, a pristine surface that ironically felt like a sterile laboratory bench rather than the heart of a home, contemplating the sparse contents of a refrigerator. Her mind, usually a bustling marketplace of ideas and plans, was now a quiet, somewhat desolate space when it came to meal preparation. She saw not ingredients, but limitations, not possibilities, but prohibitions. This silent struggle, a solitary battle fought repeatedly in kitchens across the globe, was far from unique to Eleanor. Indeed, it was a pervasive sentiment shared by countless individuals, all aged 40 and above, who found themselves navigating the challenging landscape of diabetes management. The prevailing wisdom, often born from outdated information or anecdotal whispers, had firmly entrenched the belief that a diabetic diet was synonymous with sacrifice. For many, like Eleanor, the word diabetic preceding meal conjured images of bland, unappetizing concoctions, steamed vegetables stripped of their vibrant flavor, lean proteins devoid of seasoning, and a general layer of culinary deprivation. It was a narrative of complexity, too, with endless calculations of carbohydrates, glycemic indices, and portion sizes that often felt more akin to advanced mathematics than enjoyable cooking. This perception, unfortunately, served as a significant barrier, fostering not compliance, but quiet resignation or, worse, covert indulgence. The sheer mental overhead required to craft a safe meal often led to exhaustion, transforming a fundamental human pleasure into a tiresome chore. Eleanor, a woman who once delighted in hosting elaborate dinner parties, now viewed her kitchen with a sense of trepidation. She recalled the joy of experimenting with spices, the satisfaction of a perfectly seared steak, or the comforting aroma of a freshly baked dessert. These memories, once vibrant, now carried a bittersweet tang, overlaid with the fear of blood sugar spikes and the constant vigilance demanded by her condition. What she, and many others in her demographic, yearned for was not merely sustenance, but return to the simple pleasure of eating well, without the accompanying anxiety or the need for an advanced degree in nutrition. They sought a bridge between the clinical requirements of managing diabetes and the inherent human desire for flavor, variety, and the uncomplicated joy of a satisfying meal. The true irony, which remained largely hidden from Eleanor's immediate view, was that this perceived chasm between healthy and delicious was, in many respects, an illusion. The culinary world, in its ongoing evolution, had already begun to dismantle these rigid boundaries, offering ingenious solutions that celebrated both well-being and gastronomic delight. Yet, the knowledge of these innovations, these simple, accessible pathways to culinary freedom, often failed to reach those who needed it most, those navigating the complexities of diabetes in their prime years. They were often left grappling with the echoes of old advice, convinced that their palates were forever condemned to a life of austerity. It was this very challenge, this widespread misconception, that demanded a clear didactic response. A response that would not just offer recipes, but fundamentally shift the paradigm, demonstrating with undeniable clarity that deliciousness and simplicity were not just compatible with a diabetic diet, but indeed integral to its sustainable success. For Eleanor, and for countless others like her who felt isolated in their dietary struggles, the promise of such a revelation, a practical guide to reclaiming their kitchens and their culinary joy, was a hope long deferred. This program sought to illuminate that path, to gently guide them away from the shadows of dietary despair and towards a brighter, more flavorful future, proving that managing diabetes did not require a culinary sacrifice, but rather a simple, informed approach to the food they loved. The question, then, for Eleanor and for all who watched, was not if such meals existed, but how effortlessly they could be brought to life. The program, with its profound understanding of the prevailing anxieties that silently plagued Eleanor Vance, and countless others within her age demographic, recognized that the first step towards culinary liberation was not merely to offer a new set of rules, but to dismantle the very foundations of the old. It knew with an undeniable certainty that the perceived chasm between food that nourished the body and food that delighted the senses was, in truth, an artificial construct, meticulously built over years of misinformation and fear. What Eleanor, in her solitary moments of kitchen despair, could not yet grasp was that the path to delicious, healthy diabetic meals was not one of arduous complexity, but rather one rooted in thoughtful simplicity and a fresh perspective on familiar ingredients. This shift in understanding began with a fundamental redefinition of diabetic friendly. It was not about deprivation, the program asserted, but about intelligent substitution, mindful portioning, and a vibrant embrace of nature's bounty. Consider, for instance, the notion that flavor must be sacrificed. Eleanor, like many, equated healthy with bland, imagining a future where her palate was condemned to a monotonous cycle of unseasoned chicken and steamed broccoli. Yet, the truth, as the program intended to reveal, was far more exhilarating. Spices, herbs, citrus, vinegars, and a judicious use of healthy fats could transform even the simplest ingredients into culinary masterpieces, awakening taste buds without elevating blood sugar. The secret lay not in removing flavor, but in reimagining its source, moving beyond excessive salt, sugar, and unhealthy fats to a symphony of natural zest and aroma. The program keenly understood that the demographic it addressed, individuals aged 40 and above, often carried with them a lifetime of cooking habits and deeply ingrained preferences. To suggest a complete overhaul would be counterproductive, leading only to further frustration. Instead, it proposed an evolution, a gentle refinement of beloved dishes. It recognized the comfort found in a hearty stew, the satisfaction of a warm breakfast, or the joy of a flavorful dinner shared with loved ones. It was fully aware that Eleanor, despite her current apprehension, still harbored a deep-seated desire for these experiences. The goal, therefore, was not to dictate an entirely new culinary language, but to translate the existing one into a dialect that spoke both to health and to pleasure, proving that these were not mutually exclusive concepts, but rather harmonious partners. Moreover, the daunting specter of complexity, which often manifested as an endless cycle of calculating macronutrients and meticulously weighing every ingredient, was another formidable barrier the program sought to dismantle. It understood that for individuals balancing careers, family responsibilities, and the general demands of midlife, time was a precious commodity. The idea of spending hours in the kitchen meticulously crafting a safe meal was often enough to drive them towards less healthy, more convenient options. What they truly needed, what Eleanor subconsciously longed for, was a methodology that offered maximum impact with minimal effort. This meant focusing on accessible ingredients found in any local grocery store, employing straightforward cooking techniques that didn't require specialized equipment or advanced culinary degrees, and emphasizing meal planning strategies that simplified daily preparation. The program, therefore, aimed to be a practical guide, a wise mentor whispering encouragement and clear instructions. It envisioned Eleanor no longer overwhelmed, but empowered, confidently navigating her kitchen. It saw her reaching for fresh vegetables, not out of obligation, but out of an understanding of their inherent versatility and flavor potential. It pictured her experimenting with new spice blends, not with trepidation, but with the excitement of discovery. The ultimate objective was to restore the kitchen to its rightful place, not a laboratory of limitations, but a sanctuary of creativity and well-being. It was about transforming the daily chore of eating into an act of self-care and enjoyment, proving that managing diabetes could indeed be a delicious journey. The very recipes designed within this framework were crafted with this dual purpose in mind, to be unequivocally healthy and undeniably palatable, demonstrating that one need not compromise on taste to achieve optimal health outcomes. The program fully grasped that for individuals like Eleanor, The promise of such a culinary renaissance was not merely about food. It was about reclaiming a significant piece of their former lives, restoring joy where anxiety had settled. This new approach, the program knew, would manifest in tangible, delectable forms. It would show, not just tell, how a simple weeknight dinner could be both comforting and compliant, how a hearty breakfast could fuel the day without a glucose spike, and how even a sweet treat could be enjoyed without guilt. It was prepared to unveil the elegant simplicity hidden within healthy eating, offering a clear, step-by-step pathway for Eleanor and others to follow. But how exactly would these promised culinary transformations take shape on the kitchen counter? How would the illusion of complexity give way to the reality of effortless, delightful preparation? The program, with its deep understanding of Eleanor's unspoken yearning for clarity, began as practical revelation not with abstract theory, but with the very essence of a nourishing life, a meal. It transported viewers, conceptually, into a kitchen that felt both familiar and refreshingly new. A space where the warmth of human connection and the joy of creation were palpable. A stark contrast to the sterile anxiety Eleanor had come to associate with her own culinary domain. Here, the granite countertops, which in Eleanor's mind had become a cold, unyielding surface, gleamed not with sterile apprehension, but with the promise of vibrant ingredients. These were not exotic, unattainable items, but everyday produce: crisp bell peppers, vern spinach, firm tomatoes, lean cuts of poultry and fish, meticulously chosen not for their restrictive properties, but for their inherent capacity to deliver both robust flavor and profound health benefits, all readily available at any local market. It recognized that for individuals aged 40 and above, accustomed to established routines and perhaps wary of radical shifts, a gentle introduction was paramount. Thus, the program commenced by tackling a common weeknight dilemma: what to prepare when time was short, energy was waning, and the craving for something genuinely satisfying was strong. It presented, with elegant simplicity, a dish that Eleanor, in her previous lives, might have considered off-limits due to its perceived complexity or unhealthy components. Imagine, for a moment, a succulent baked salmon, its skin perfectly crisp and golden, its flesh flaking tenderly with the touch of a fork, nestled beside a colorful medley of roasted root vegetables. Earthy carrots, subtly sweet parsnips, and comforting chunks of sweet potato, all seasoned not with heavy, cream-laden sauces, but with fragrant Mediterranean herbs like rosemary and thyme, a hint of smoky paprika, and a judicious drizzle of heart-healthy extra virgin olive oil. The accompanying side might be a vibrant quinoa salad, roasting with fresh parsley, ruby red cherry tomatoes, and a bright, zesty lemon vinaigrette. The choice of salmon, the program knew, was deliberate. It offered lean protein and essential omega-3 fatty acids, crucial for cardiovascular health, a particular concern for this demographic, all without compromising on richness or deep, satisfying flavor. The narration, delivered with a measured, reassuring cadence that echoed the calm precision of a seasoned chef, guided viewers through each step, demystifying what often felt like an insurmountable task. It demonstrated how simple chopping techniques, the strategic use of pre-prepared ingredients, such as pre-cut vegetable from the grocery store or canned legumes rinsed thoroughly to reduce sodium, and the ingenious application of a single sheet pan could drastically reduce both prep and cooking time. Eleanor, observing the seamless flow of preparation, the effortless choreography of hands moving across ingredients, would begin to feel a subtle shift within her, a faint stirring of possibility, a flicker of empowerment. She would notice the comforting familiarity of the ingredients, the reliance on basic kitchen tools she already owned, and the clear, concise instructions that meticulously eliminated any room for guesswork. The program understood, with profound empathy, that the fear of making a mistake, of inadvertently impacting blood sugar levels with an incorrect ingredient or portion, was a heavy, constant burden. Its methodical, step-by-step approach was meticulously designed to alleviate precisely that anxiety instilling a newfound confidence in the viewer's ability to execute. It didn't just show what to cook, but how to coax maximum, vibrant flavor from minimal, healthy components, directly confronting the entrenched belief that diabetic food must be bland. The secret, the program revealed through its demonstrations, lay in understanding and leveraging diverse flavor profiles. The invigorating, acidic brightness of citrus, the earthy warmth of spices, the pungent kick of freshly minced garlic and onion, the savory umami richness found in mushrooms or a good quality vegetable broth. It showed how a simple squeeze of fresh lime or a splash of apple cider vinegar could elevate a dish more effectively than excessive salt, or how a sprinkle of freshly chopped cilantro and a dash of chili flakes could transform a mundane steamed vegetable into an exciting, palate-awakening sight. The visual presentation itself was a masterclass in this philosophy. The vibrant, jewel-tone colors of the roasted vegetables, the glistening, flaky salmon, the verdant, aromatic herbs, all conspiring to create a dish that was not only unequivocally healthy, but also aesthetically appealing, a true feast for the eyes before it even touched the palate. This was a direct, irrefutable assault on the deeply ingrained societal belief that healthy food must be dull, proving instead that it could be a joyful celebration of natural abundance and thoughtful, intelligent preparation. Eleanor, watching from her own quiet kitchen, where once only trepidation resided, would begin to see her pantry not as a minefield of forbidden temptations, but as a treasure trove of potential. The program, with its omniscient grasp of her inner conflict, understood that the real challenge was not merely a lack of recipes, but a profound crisis of culinary imagination and self-efficacy. It aimed, with unwavering focus, to restore that lost sense of agency, to rekindle the joy of creation. It didn't just provide instructions, it articulated the why behind each choice, explaining, for instance, the benefits of fiber-rich whole grains in stabilizing blood sugar, or the crucial role of lean proteins in promoting satiety and muscle maintenance, all without resorting to inaccessible jargon or overwhelming scientific detail. The didactic tone was never condescending, but rather that of a trusted mentor, a patient guide, gently leading a mentee towards newfound culinary wisdom and practical skill, fostering a sense of partnership in their health journey. The rhythm of the narration, meticulously chosen to mirror the calm, deliberate pace of the cooking demonstrations, allowed viewers ample time to absorb each piece of information, to visualize themselves replicating the steps, and to internalize the powerful message of achievable simplicity. It carefully broke down common misconceptions, showing, for example, how a simple, yet impactful, swap from refined white rice to nutrient-dense quinoa or brown rice could profoundly influence glycemic response without sacrificing the comforting satisfaction of a grain-based side dish. It highlighted the incredible versatility of ingredients, demonstrating how a larger batch of roasted vegetables prepared on a Sunday afternoon could be effortlessly repurposed into a crisp salad for Monday lunch, a savory wrap filling for Tuesday, or even a light frittata for Wednesday breakfast, thus ingeniously tackling the perennial challenge of meal planning and time management for busy individuals aged 40 and above. This approach was not about demanding unattainable perfection, but about fostering sustainable habits through intelligent, uncomplicated choices designed to fit seamlessly into an already demanding lifestyle. The program knew that the path to long-term adherence and genuine well-being lay not in rigid, joyless rules, but in empowering individuals like Eleanor to make informed, delicious, and deeply satisfying decisions for themselves, thereby transforming a perceived burden into a true act of self-care. As the screen showcased a perfectly plated dish, vibrant, aromatic, and undeniably inviting, a profound sense of quiet triumph began to settle over Eleanor. The fear that had once clouded her kitchen, making every cooking decision a source of anxiety, now began to dissipate, replaced by a nascent curiosity, a glimmer of hope that sparkled like the freshly chopped herbs on the salmon. She started to envision herself, no longer a victim of her diagnosis, but an empowered chef, confidently creating meals that not only nourished her body according to medical guidelines, but also delighted her senses, bringing back a long-lost pleasure. But this, the program understood, was merely the beginning of a transformative culinary journey. What other delightful possibilities, what other effortless transformations awaited her beyond the confines of a single, demonstrably simple meal, promising a complete reclamation of her dietary freedom and the enduring joy of eating well. The program, having masterfully laid the groundwork with the approachable elegance of the baked salmon, understood that true transformation required demonstrating not just one success, but a tapestry of effortless possibilities woven across the entire culinary day. It knew, with a certainty that resonated deeply with Eleanor's burgeoning hope, that the perceived constraints of diabetic eating extended far beyond dinner, permeating every meal and snack. Thus, it seamlessly transitioned to unveil a repertoire of dishes that promised both gastronomic delight and blood sugar stability, proving unequivocally that culinary freedom was not a fleeting moment, but a continuous, joyful reality. Consider the morning, a time when rushed decisions often led to less than ideal choices. The program presented a vibrant breakfast, a far cry from the monotonous oatmeal or bland egg whites Eleanor had envisioned. It showcased a fluffy, protein-packed spinach and feta frittata, baked in individual muffin tins for perfect portion control and grab-and-go convenience. The visual was striking. Emerald green spinach leaves intertwined with creamy white feta, punctuated by the golden hue of perfectly cooked egg, all light and airy. The narration carefully explained the benefits of this choice: the sustained energy from protein, the essential vitamins from the greens, and the minimal impact on glucose levels. It then offered an alternative for those with a sweeter palate, revealing how a rich, creamy Greek yogurt, adorned with a handful of fresh, jewel-toned berries and a sprinkle of crunchy chia seeds, could be a profoundly satisfying and nutrient-dense start to the day. It highlighted the natural sweetness of berries, the gut health benefits of yogurt, and the fiber-rich sustenance of chia, subtly educating without ever feeling like a lecture. Eleanor, who often skipped breakfast or settled for a dry piece of toast, felt a genuine pull towards these inviting options, her mind already mapping out how easily they could fit into her own mornings. The midday meal, too, received its thoughtful reinterpretation. The program demonstrated a hearty, yet surprisingly light, lentil and vegetable soup, brimming with fiber and flavor. The camera lingered on the simmering pot, steam curling upwards, carrying the aromatic promise of earthy lentils, sweet carrots, and fragrant celery, all brought to life with a complex blend of herbs and a touch of smoked paprika. This was not merely soup. It was a bowl of comforting sustenance, designed to keep hunger at bay and energy levels steady throughout the afternoon, devoid of the hidden sugars and excessive sodium often found in pre-made options. Complementing this, it presented a vibrant, deconstructed chicken salad, eschewing heavy mayonnaise for a tangy Greek yogurt dressing, packed with crisp celery, red grapes for a burst of natural sweetness, and toasted pecans for satisfying crunch. This, serving crisp lettuce cups or alongside whole grain crackers, redefined the concept of a light lunch as one that was both fulfilling and exquisitely flavorful. The program, in its omniscient wisdom, knew that Eleanor, like many others, often struggled with lunch options that felt both healthy and exciting, and these demonstrations offered concrete, actionable solutions. Beyond the structured meals, the program addressed the crucial role of snacks, often a slippery slope for those managing diabetes. It illustrated how simple, accessible choices could prevent cravings and stabilize blood sugar between meals. Crisp apple slices paired with a tablespoon of natural almond butter, offering a balanced combination of fiber, healthy fats, and protein. Or a handful of crunchy, roasted chickpeas seasoned with a touch of cumin and chili powder, a far more satisfying and beneficial alternative to processed chips. Even a realm of sweet treats, once deemed entirely forbidden, was gently re-explored. A small square of high-quality dark chocolate, its rich bitterness a complex delight, was presented not as an indulgence, but as a mindful pleasure, enjoyed in moderation. The program showed how a baked apple, simply cored and filled with cinnamon and a sprinkle of chopped walnuts, could satisfy a sweet craving without any added sugar, its warmth and aroma evoking comforting memories without the accompanying guilt. It was about intelligent choices. The program reiterated, not absolute denial. Throughout these demonstrations, the didactic tone remained consistently supportive, empowering viewers with not just recipes, but a deeper understanding of why certain ingredients and methods were chosen. It explained the importance of healthy fats in satiety, the role of fiber in regulating blood sugar, and the power of herbs and spices to elevate flavor without relying on unhealthy additives. It showed how batch cooking, preparing larger quantities of ingredients like roasted vegetables or cooked grains, could dramatically simplify meal preparation throughout the week, transforming the Sunday afternoon chore into a strategic act of self-care. Eleanor, now observing with a sense of excited participation rather than passive trepidation, began to recognize patterns, to internalize principles. She saw how the simple act of choosing whole grains over refined ones, or leaning on lean proteins and a rainbow of vegetables, was not a sacrifice, but an upgrade. The cumulative effect of these revelations was profound. Eleanor's kitchen, once a symbol of limitation and anxiety, slowly but surely began to transform in her mind's eye. The gleaming granite counter no longer felt sterile. It pulsed with the potential of fresh produce and vibrant flavors. Her pantry, once a source of confusion and fear, now appeared as a well-stocked arsenal for wellness, each item a tool in her newfound culinary mastery. The program had done more than just provide recipes. It had re-educated her palate, rekindled her culinary imagination, and, most importantly, restored her sense of agency. It had proven that managing diabetes through delightful, uncomplicated meals was not just achievable, but truly enriching. For Eleanor, and for countless individuals like her who watched, absorbed, and began to replicate these simple, flavorful dishes, the journey was no longer a solitary, fearful struggle. It had become a shared adventure, guided by wisdom and empowered by delicious possibility. The fear of dietary deprivation had given way to the joy of discovery, the anxiety of complexity replaced by the calm confidence of simplicity. This program had not merely offered a path, it had illuminated an entire landscape, vibrant and inviting, where health and gastronomic pleasure walked hand in hand. The kitchen, for Eleanor, was no longer a place of trepidation, but a sanctuary of self-care, a canvas for creativity, and a perpetual source of delicious, uncomplicated well-being, proving that a life with diabetes could indeed be a life fully savored, one flavorful, healthy meal at a time. This was not an end, but a beautiful, delicious beginning.